Hi, everyone. Thank you for watching the Self Connection. I'm here, Kelly Pietro with Ginny Brown, and we have conversations with a group of Ascended Masters known as the Multitude of the Greater Good.
Yes. The multitude of the greater good consists of multitudes and multitudes of multitudes. They are spiritual healers and teachers, ascended masters and higher beings. And they answer all of our questions. And their goal basically is to help us to become, it's like to help you become a better you. That's how they put it. So that's the goal. And that's our goal, is to, Kelly will ask the questions and I will channel the answers. And hopefully they will help you. So,
Well, thanks for being here, Ginny. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. So Ginny and I were chatting, as we often do, before we hit the record button. And we were talking about illness and how a lot of times like, if Ginny or I get sick, we tune in and we both often hear, oh, you're just healing something, that the illness is an expression of the energetic healing that is taking place. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. We're getting curious about that. We'd like to know more about that. So I almost just want to have it there. We'd like to know more about that rather than ask well, we can ask the question. Maybe we'll let them open it up with a response to, we would like to know more about the interplay of illness as a form of healing on the spiritual level.
it is important to understand, my dear, that as one comes to the earth plane, one has decided that there are many life consequences that are required in order to allow one's spiritual growth. When one allows oneself to grow on the spiritual level, there are many phases and parts to the healing self. When one allows oneself to move forward in such a way, one allows the all that is to step in, therefore allowing one to move forward in the way that is required for that one at that time to move in a direction. We can tell you that there is much healing taking place on both the physical and the emotional and the spiritual levels simultaneously. Therefore, when one is on the earth plane, there is only so much energy that one can carry on the earth plane. There is that part of self that is in spirit, that is total energy. There is that part on the earth plane, which is quite physical indeed, and has a limited energetic component. Therefore, when one is healing on one level, one is able to heal only partly on another level. Therefore, if one is in spirit healing, it assumes that the energy is for healing on the spiritual level. Therefore, it's like taking up the energy from the physical level. We can tell you when one is healing on the physical level, one is allowing oneself to bring forward energy from the spiritual level. Therefore, it's important to understand that one works in conjunction with the other. There is no either or. There is no separation. There is only healing on one level or the other. When one is able to move oneself forward on the physical level and simultaneously on the spiritual level, a great deal is being accomplished. We can tell you there is much more to the process. However, there is only so much that the physical mind can understand, and that is out of the realm of understanding on the earth plane. Do not be concerned, all is love. Always.
always on, you know me, I'm like, oh, come on, just try.
Oh,
Um, so
incomprehensible.
that was really interesting. That kind of answered your question, Ginny.
Yeah.
So Ginny's question was gonna be, why does one need to get sick in order to heal on the emotional level? Um, let's just ask that question and see if there's a differentiation.
It is important to understand that the emotional level is very much connected to the physical level. And when one comes to the earth plane, one allows oneself to heal what is required to be healed. And usually it is an emotion. Usually it is an emotion that is unbeknownst to the person on the earth plane. It is something carried over from oneself to oneself through one's own previous experiences. We can tell you that those emotions are quite important to be healed. And when one is in the process of healing the emotion, one allows oneself on the physical level to just, it's like to just relax and be, and it's like become unenergized in order to use the energy to heal the emotion. We can tell you that when this happens, it is quite a beautiful situation. There is much that can be healed on the earth plane that cannot be healed on the spiritual level. Therefore, when one comes to the earth plane, one's highest and greatest, it's like goal of engagement is to heal the energetic, emotional compartments that have been unable to be accessed on the spiritual plane.
There's so much in that one message.
Yeah, there always is.
I feel like I just want to sit in it for a second. It's like, so it's almost like there's part of the soul to be healed, and the only way for it to heal is to incarnate into a physical being, because this is the realm in which it can be healed,
Right.
which is beautiful.
Yes, but it's also, to me, also it was created on this plane. So it
Yeah.
needs to be healed on this plane. From all our past life experiences and things that have happened that had not been processed in the lifetime that it happened. So it gets tucked away until it can be released and healed. And for me, sometimes healing takes on that message of, well, what are you healing and why are you healing it? And it's kind of, to me, that's what we're healing. It's those unacknowledged and
Suppressed.
those hidden things that we can't see, but we can feel. They come out in aggravation. They come out in small pains all over our body, or they can come out in a large physical abnormality. Who knows? But that's what it is. That, in my opinion, that's what we're healing.
Imagine if we just acknowledge that when healing opportunity comes up and just allow it, like instead of judging it. Like I think about people who are plagued with like massive amounts of illness, or, and I'm sure in some of those cases maybe that's not about healing a past life, it's about experiencing something new here, but things that come up for healing in this life that are from past life, oftentimes I think we judge it as like this horrible thing, and it's like, oh no, I'm just healing this right now for my soul. And then that allowing, I think, right? So multitude always talks about allowing. When you step into that allowing, it can probably happen a lot faster.
Well, it can happen like that. I mean,
Yeah. So that's interesting too. Like I was getting this visual. I'm probably not going to be able to draw it well, but it was just a visual, and it's probably not an accurate interpretation, but like, let's say, let's say we have our soul and we have our physical being, and they're connected, and they're always connected by this stream of energy. This is such like a probably religious interpretation of the soul being in heaven and the physical being on earth, right? This hierarchical, and that's why I'm saying it's an inaccurate depiction, but this was the visual I got anyway. And how when the physical might be sick, and so there's maybe less energy, like that siphon gets like pinched off down here because more the energy is happening up here. And so the soul is expanding, and so the energy needs to be greater up here versus what I love how they said when you're moving forward in the physical, which is when you feel like you're in alignment and you feel expansive, right? Because you're moving forward on the physical. I don't know, I'm not explaining it well, but like I just got this visual of like where the energy is greater.
That picture that you drew doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I know. That's what I said. I knew it wasn't going to make sense to you for sure. Because for
It's
you, like you always see everything is contained here in the oneness, which I get.
Yeah.
I agree with, but I think I don't know why I'm always seeing these visuals that look like a separation.
energy pinched off, and it's not pinched off. It's just allowed to flow. And sometimes when you're healing, because everything that we've ever learned in all of our life experiences is contained in that which you termed the soul.
Yeah.
Our spiritual self, our super self, our whole self. So it's not really pinched off. It's just, like you said, acknowledged. It's just there's a resistance to recognizing it.
Yeah.
So it can't come through. It's not allowed to come through to be healed and taken care of. So whether that's how it works or not, it's not pinched off. It's just we need to just allow it to flow.
Yeah. I guess what I'm trying to say is like when the body is sick, when you feel sick and you don't have energy, because the energy is being used up for the spiritual.
Right.
I guess that's maybe why I was seeing that visual of like on the physical, just laying in bed because you got no energy, because all the energy that you have access to is being used to expand your soul.
Well,
and heal on the soul level, right?
Another way to look at that is all the energy you have is being expended to heal your physical body, because we've got a physical body on the physical earth plane. So it's not all done on the energetic. So our physical body also needs energy. So, when you're not well, you need more energy. So I don't know, it can be like, it's like a conundrum, or it goes round in a circle. I don't know. I was trying to figure that out, but I'm not sure.
I think this is the part where they're like, yeah, you can't possibly understand it.
Could be, yeah.
Okay, well, so I kind of want to segue a little bit because, I mean, it's still within this topic, but there's so many like we hear things like, oh, the lungs store grief or create grief. You hear both of those things. Worry is associated with the kidney, fear with the adrenals, right? Like all these things. You have things like this, which associate. So this is Carol Truman, Feelings. It's a reference guide, and she has a book, I think. Feelings buried alive never die. It's kind of a morbid title. never die. Where you can look up like back problems, mean, feeling no support, you can't cope with emotional difficulties. Like, in other words, the emotional association with the physical, right? There's books like Anna Dea Judith's Wheel of Life and Eastern Body, Western Mind that associate emotions to each chakra and to body parts, right? So there's this human understanding of association of where emotions kind of get healed in the body, exactly. And I guess I'm wondering what the multitude can say about that. Is this just a few interpretations of that based on people's experience? Is it universal truth? Yeah, I already am feeling what they're saying and stuff. So what would they like to share with us about that?
It is important to understand that each one has each one's own experience and each one's own knowledge. There are many things that can be interpreted in many ways, and each book and each meditation and each chart or and mostly chart, because that's what I'm seeing as a chart, is that each one is someone's interpretation of what they know. It is not a universal interpretation per se. There are many who believe that it fits for them. Therefore, for them, it is right. For others, however, they know things differently. They feel things differently. They hear things differently, and their understanding is quite different. Therefore, we would highly recommend that each one understand that within each one's own self is each one's own knowledge of who one is. And when one understands that one resonates with that which is right for them, then they will be able to understand the process that happens. It's like, for instance, the chakra system and all the emotions and everything interpreted within that chakra system. Okay, so you pick the heart chakra and you say, well, this is associated with the heart chakra and that's associated with the heart chakra. Well, that may be so for you, but for me, it may be this is association with the heart chakra, but that is an association with my solar plexus chakra. It is a matter of how one resonates with the issue at hand. It is not always a set goal, a set description. It is how one interprets or resonates with the energy of the issue.
Okay, so that's interesting because like I know for me, a lot of the things that I read about chakras really resonates. And then I wonder if because it resonates, when I'm doing intuitive energy work and I'm guided, it's almost like it's spirit or my super self guiding me based on that library of knowledge. Okay, so here's an example.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I know, because like you're like, what? Okay, so for example, a lot of times folks will come in with like a physical complaint and they want an herb to help relieve that physical complaint, but it is a part of my belief that there's always an energetic thing that's going on underneath. So let's talk it out and let's acknowledge the energy as well. So, okay, oh, I've got digestive issues. So right away I'm thinking solar plexus. So what if I'm thinking solar plexus, I'm also thinking personal will, wanting to control things, codependency, where one is feeling powerless, right? So I begin to ask them questions about that. And 10 times out of 10, something important gets revealed. And there's something that gets acknowledged, that if a behavior were to change or a thought pattern were to change, the solar plexus would then strengthen, and then therefore the digestive would find relief. And that's been my experience with my clients, and they see results in that way. But I'm wondering if my super self is guiding me that way simply because it resonates with me. And because those things resonate with me, in other words, someone comes in and says digestion, and now I'm thinking solar plexus. Like, is there some sort of divine thing happening where we're an energetic match because I have this library of knowledge that is the chakra system that looks like this, and this person happens to need help in that area, and so then they find me, and so my super self is guiding me down that avenue so that they can find the relief. You see what I'm saying?
Well, the only thing I'm getting out of that whole thing is you're seeing your super self as separate from you, and you are your super self.
Yeah.
Separate. So it is your knowledge and your knowing and your resonance with it. It's like your super self is not feeding you information. It is you.
Yeah, I guess um I just wonder if it was somebody else in the room that doesn't have the library of knowledge that I have, they'd be guided differently.
Well, they would be guided by the knowledge that they know from their own life experiences, this life and any other.
Right. So, they might be guided to the heart chakra, is what I mean.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
But maybe the result would somehow be the same. I don't know. I guess that's what I'm trying to get at.
So it's like you're trying to heal the emotion behind the physical problem.
Yeah.
And you might see it as a solar plexus problem, and I might see it as a heart chakra problem.
Right.
But the information that comes through comes from my experience from all of my lifetimes.
Right.
So I may not know on this level what it is, but I can feel and I can bring through the energy. Say, here's the thing.
Well, I guess that's what I'm thinking is.
Right. Here's the thing. It's like the knowledge it's me. It's my energy. It's my super self. It's everything that I know. If I don't, on the mental level, know what's the cause, I can bring through energy to help heal that. Part of it is because there's Reiki energy, which I'm aware of, partly because of the Shambhala multidimensional, partly because of the higher realms healing energy that I bring through, but it all comes from me and my experiences through life. Nobody gives that to me. This is interesting because I hadn't thought of this before. Nobody gives that to me. It is part of who I am on the spiritual level, and I can bring through that part of me to help that other person. That's very interesting.
I think that's funny you find that new, because I feel like I've learned that from you before.
Yes, but I've never really connected it that way.
Oh, okay.
No, it's me.
Yeah.
And I know lots of times I'll bring in my own experiences and my own information, even though I don't know it on this earth level in my mind self, but I'll bring that energy through. So it's kind of.
I have found lately I'm moving further and further from the mind self, right? From the knowing of, oh, okay, it's the solar plexus, and that has to do with personal will and confidence. So I'm going to call forth self-confidence, right? And that's like I'm going to channel the energy of confidence into this client here. That's really done from the mental level, where instead now it's like, no, whatever they need right now, if I asked to just be a clear channel to bring that through for them. And I don't have to know what it is.
No, you don't have to know what it is at all. But are you bringing through the energy for them, or are you bringing energy through to help them access who they are? See, I think that's another key. Is
Yeah.
we help them bring through what they need for themselves. We're not doing the healing. We are
Yeah,
providing the help.
exactly. And that's kind of how I think of it, as like, I imagine that, and I don't know why, I know that it's not their super self is not separate from them, but there's part of them that feels they can't do it themselves, and that's why they're here, right? So it's more about interacting with their super self and saying, whatever you need right now, let's bring that through. Whether it's something that an energy you have access to or that I have access to, let's bring it through here so that you can access it in the here and now.
Yeah.
And maybe I don't have access to it, and so maybe my guides and angels and whoever, you know what I mean, is here to help as well. That's what I think of it as.
Yeah.
Is there anything they want to say about that?
The other part is that you don't have to have access to it. You have to have access to your own energy for helping. It's like lots of times, and I tell people this because they'll feel overwhelmed and they'll feel all this energy and all this empathic energy. And it's like, I'll take on someone else's energy and I'm exhausted. And
Yeah.
what I've done and what I've learned is that I don't need to take on, because I've done this myself. It's like, I don't need to take on your issues to heal them. What I need to do is give that which I've taken on back to you to heal. You can heal your own because you have the power, but I will help you do it, but I'm not going to do it for you. And that made a big difference for me. So what I know is I can bring through energy to help them heal what they need, but I can't do it for them. I
Yeah.
can offer it and then they can access it. Sometimes then mental issue or something, they can't understand how they do it, but they don't need to always understand how they do it. They just need to let it happen.
And I think sometimes though, when humans can't understand it on a mental level, that gets in the way of the allowing, right?
Well, it can. But if I have a client that comes to me for Reiki or whatever energetic, um, healing energy that comes through, they can, say, oh, I don't know if this is right or, but they're there and they've allowed that to happen.
Yeah.
So allowing, even if they don't know it on the mental level, they are allowing the energy to flow. So that's the only thing that I know about it, is that.
Well, we both, though, would you agree with this, that we have both had clients who do show up and don't allow?
Not really, because it's all done on the spiritual level. It's not done on the mental level. And they may not be able to understand it, but that doesn't mean that they're not allowing it to happen.
But wouldn't some of the evidence of allowance be results and change?
For me, it's not always change on the earth plane.
Okay. Good point. And maybe sometimes they allow it on the spiritual and then the earth side just takes a little bit catching up.
Exactly. Yeah, that's how I see it. Anyway.
Yeah. Does the multitude want to add to this conversation that we're having? Anything?
Important to understand that we are all in communication. And when it's like when I speak, we are all speaking through her. She is the one expediting our remarks.
Got it.
Whatever the word that means. She is the one who is translating the energy and expressing it in her own words, and we are part and parcel of that process.
Got it.
So, yeah. So you don't think all that information came directly from me, do you?
Well, I can tell a difference when you're channeling and when you're not, but I guess it's a good point to make that just because we're not sitting and like, oh, I'm channeling this, doesn't mean you're not channeling.
Exactly. Yeah.
And actually, I remember because I'm like, oh no, I don't channel, like I can't. And one of our mutual friends was like, what are you talking about? You channel all the time. And I was like, I do. What do you mean? But yeah, I guess we all always are. Maybe not always, but
We're just not always aware on the mental level that we are.
yeah.
Because thoughts will come, things will come as thoughts. And we don't always acknowledge that they may not be a real, let's see, it may be just a knowing and not a mental thought,
Right.
through. So,
Okay, well, well, hang on, let me see if I can craft the question. Okay, I don't have it. It's just gonna, I guess I'll channel it. Just kidding. It's not coming to me, but I trust when I start speaking, it'll be appropriate. Okay, so we're still dealing with maybe on a lesser level, but humanity recently went through a pandemic, which was illness, right? And we're talking about illness and how that can be the catalyst for let's say advancement of the soul on the spiritual level. And because that was such a collective experience, I know each individual, because we didn't do this online, Ginny, but you and I have talked about it and you've channeled before. And what the multitude has shared in the past was, basically if someone gets COVID, it's because there is an experience they're choosing to have. And there is growth happening on the spiritual level, different for each individual. But clearly, like something like this, where humanity is opting in for a collective experience, how would they describe the energy is like really ungrounding me on all of this. How would they describe the healing that is happening on a collective level with the collective experience of COVID?
it is important to understand that there are many ways for the earth to heal itself, many ways for an individual to heal him or herself, many ways for the collective to experience growth. And when one decides that growth is what is required on the collective level, there are a myriad of ways of achieving it. And one is for the collective on the earth plane to experience an exchange of energy that may be, it's like uncomfortable, or it's like a new energy to come in and make the change. Therefore, one can choose to, I got it. One can choose to handle that change in one way or another, or one can choose to reject the change, which in one way or another causes one to make the decision as to whether or not they wish to remain on the earth plane. Sometimes there are those who are using the collective experience as a reason for growth, love, care, and understanding. And then there are others who choose it as an exit opportunity. Therefore, it is not a collective decision. It is an individual decision as to how each one wishes to remain within the collective itself. When the time is right, each one will allow each one's own self to move in the way that is required. However, in our estimation, excuse me, each one makes that decision individually on the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual levels, as one is always in connection with oneself, regardless if one believes it in the mental capacity or not.
Okay, so individuals chose, so there's this new energy brought in for whatever reason, and individuals will choose to adjust in their own individual way. And some people are like, peace out, this is not for me, it's an exit point. Or they get COVID. Isn't that they get COVID? They don't have to get COVID in order to experience it, do they?
And the COVID is not like a new energy coming in. It's not that at all. It's just like the flu and anything else you'd get. It's your choice as to how you wish to handle it.
Oh, right. So the new energy, you may have chosen to adjust to it via an illness.
The new energy
Yeah.
is constantly new every day. The energy is rising. Each one is healing. Each one is contributing. And if one is unable in their physical body to handle that energetic vibration, then they choose as to how they want to grow from it. If they are ready to grow more, they can. If they are ready to leave, they can. And they can find a way to do it. And COVID is an opportunity to do that. That's how I see it.
Interesting. I can't wait to listen to that again.
We can tell you, my dear, that as each one has the opportunity to move themselves forward in many different ways and circumstances, COVID is and was just one opportunity. It is a matter of understanding that the Earth's vibration is changing, and each one on the Earth plane may choose to change. Each one has the opportunity, each one has the ability, but each one is not always open to the change. Therefore, they may put up great resistance and decide it is not for them on the Earth plane any longer. Therefore, they choose to leave. In our estimation, it is important that one understands that one always has the opportunity to leave the Earth plane, and one always has the opportunity to stay on the Earth plane, therefore allowing themselves to grow within the processes. If one decides they are no longer willing to be on the Earth plane, they will find a way to leave.
But also, choosing to leave doesn't mean that you're not growing. It's just you're not growing with that particular energy on the physical. You could be growing with it on the spiritual, right? Okay. This is a good one. I liked this one. I feel like we could probably talk for hours on this one. What I find interesting is, you know, like when COVID first hit, there was all people, men are people giving their interpretation of the spiritual meaning of it. And what I like that the multitude does is kind of reminds us that we are individuals having a unique experience, and that maybe what someone else says resonates on some level. But what I saw a lot of was people kind of falling victim to somebody else's interpretation. And then there was a big waiting game of like, because it's like predictive of this is going to happen next. And it was a very much a waiting game for that predictive thing to happen. I don't know if you remember, you probably didn't read any of that because you probably weren't an energetic match for it, Ginny.
Right, because I don't remember any of that.
Yeah. So so what I love that the multitude does is kind of remind us like, hang on, you're an individual. You are in charge of you. You don't have to be victim to someone else's predictions or fall in line with their predictions, and you have your own experience.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But the other thing I know, talking about the energy, is that your growth experience is always there. The energy is always there for you. Your next step is always there. But when you are ready to allow it to come in.
Yeah, so you don't have to wait.
Right.
Love that. I think that's a good place to end.
I think so.
This was good. Thanks, Ginny. I can't wait to go back and listen to this one again, because there was some parts where I just wanted to like sit with it and yeah, really. Sometimes when I'm going back and updating the title and everything, and I get to listen to it again, I hear something new, which is always so. Yeah, I encourage that for our viewers. Sometimes to come back every so often.
Well, what I know is this, especially for when you get a private reading, I will always record them. And every time you listen to it, you'll hear something new, which is why one reason I record it. And another is the information flows so quickly. That's like you miss so much.
Yeah.
So if you listen to it 3, 4, 5 times, you listen to it every week for 3 weeks, and then every 6 months or whatever, you'll hear something new, not only because there's something new that resonates differently, but because you're in a different place and you're ready to hear something new, and you allow the new energy to come in.
I love that. And I think that sometimes some of the messages that the multitude brings through feels like general, and any skeptic could be like, well, that could apply to anyone. But it's like, if you're channeling for the masses, it has to apply to everyone in some way, whether it resonates or doesn't resonate. But then again, the timelessness of it is so wonderful that you can come back to it anytime and get exactly what you need from it.
Yeah, because you're in a different place. Okay.
Yeah. Exactly.
So anyway, thank you, Kelly. Thank you for all your questions. And
well, this one started off with your question, so thank you for your question.
Okay.
Thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you next time on the Self Connection.
Yes, I hope this information helps, and keep on listening.